In the paper, I study what happens when US presidents exert political pressure on the Fed. What happens to the economy? And I do that with a new data set that I created from archival records, a historical data set. And I combine that data set with a narrative identification approach. So let me tell you a bit about a data set.
Yes.
The idea is that I want to find some way to measure when politicians pressure the central bank. Now, the idea is pretty simple. I looked at how often do they actually personally interact. You can do that for former US presidents by accessing their daily calendars. US presidents, after the presidency ends, they get a presidential library. You know, say the JFK library is in Boston, and those libraries store documents from the presidency. They act as museums and are pretty interesting to visit. And part of the documents for each presidency is the daily calendar of the president. That's a detailed account of what the president did each hour or even each 10 minutes in some cases. So I, and with the help of some dedicated research assistants, we went through all of those schedules, starting with FDR in 1933. That's when the schedules sort of start.
Okay.
If you go back earlier, you don't have them. Going all the way up to Obama, and then we went through all of those schedules every day and found meetings that were with anybody from the Federal Reserve. Let me just tell you a little bit what we learned just from the raw data. What is interesting is that they meet all in all, pretty frequently, more often than I would have expected. So we found from 1933 to 2016, there were more than 800 meetings between presidents and Fed personnel. Most meetings are with the chair. More than 90% are with the chair, but they occasionally meet with the vice chair or a governor or the New York Fed president, for example. And there is really enormous variation across time. There are really extreme cases. Bill Clinton, for example, was president for 8 years. He met with Fed officials 6 times in 8 years. Those were mostly official swearing-in ceremonies and things like that. If you look at Richard Nixon, he met 160 times with people from the Fed. Wow, big difference, huh? And that was in 5.5 years that he was president. And you know, in the very intense period that I'm going to talk about more, actually, he met with Fed Chair Arthur Burns on average more than once a week. They met very frequently.
Every week, huh?
Yeah.